Welcome viewers, Glorong here, back with another episode of Age of Empires 3. And you might wonder why I'm starting in this screen instead of in the campaign screen or in the settings. So this time, I'm actually playing, well, I'm not even playing. This is a recorded game that I played earlier today with my sister, so this is actually multiplayer. First multiplayer game I've done. This also the first plot game, or first post-commentary game I've done, so this should be interesting. Never played a game before where I don't have to be concentrating on the game. Hopefully I won't stop in the middle of sentences or something. So yeah, I was playing as the Dutch, and I was sending my catamaran over to her, and she was playing as the Chinese. And I should turn off fog of war. Don't need that. My enemies, what? Oh, yeah, I guess there was a bit of lag and I tried to click that twice. It's kind of interesting that it shows you all the things. Whoa. Yes, and my enemies were Suleiman. I can never remember how to pronounce it. Suleiman? I think it's Suleiman. Solomon. And Akbar, the Indians. We were kind of, sort of, not really, kind of, sort of supposed to be representing the nations from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Nameless, it might be kind of confusing that I was Nameless and she was actually Glorong because she didn't want to install it on her computer, so I let her use mine, so just remember Nameless is me and Glorong's her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was sort of, I left off in the middle of a sentence, did it again. I was sort of kind of not really playing the Earth Nation, Dirt Nation, or whatever it's called. I don't really watch that show, and since there's no brown, I was orange. She was playing as the Fire Nation, red. And over here, since there's no white, Akbar was playing as the Air Nation, Akbar, the Last Airbender, and Suleiman was playing as the Water Nation, who seems like he would have kind of a home ground advantage, given that 3/4 of this map is water. Probably like a third of it. Oh yeah, and I got the Bank of Amsterdam really early on, and I completely forgot to build banks throughout the entire game. What this is. Oh. Interesting. Never used this record game function before. So, yeah. I started off just trying to get enough food to advance to the next stage, which by this time I already had. She hasn't really played this very often before. I think she's only played it a couple of times a long time ago, so at this point I was kind of explaining to her how everything worked. And, yeah, this was a naval map, primarily ocean, so I wasn't really able to do much in the way of exploring for quite a while. Yes. Oh, I got to the Colonial Age, I think. She got... yeah, so by now she's started to get the Porcelain Tower, as I suggested. And she's teching up to the Discovery Age. The AIs were really far behind the whole game. Because, unfortunately, I did set them on easy, so that might have made this a little less interesting than it could have been, because because I wasn't sure how good she would be, and I didn't realize this would be a naval map, which I think is usually easier. The AI isn't too good at navies. So it kind of ended up being a total, like, we barely even had to fight until the very end when we were already overwhelmingly powerful. And yeah, I'll switch to Glorong. Almost, I thought it was me. Wow, I made that mistake already. Yeah, so she's almost finished the Porcelain Tower, and she's built a dock, which I don't think she ever used. No, I think she built a couple of those. And, yeah, I was trying to get enough resources again to tech up, although I did build the dock. And I think I also built a ship from the dock. I think I was probably kind of handicapping myself by trying to get berries instead of hunting these things, which I think is fast. I think you collect food from hunted animals faster than from berry bushes, so that may not have been a very good idea. I just always go, like, I don't know, I just don't like hunting things for some reason. It's irrational. And yeah, I'd explained to her that you can hunt humpback whales. And so now she was doing it. I'm getting coin. Yeah, and I remembered that, well, okay, normally, when you're in the game, you can click menu, and then there's an option, player summary, and then you can send money, or coin, food, or lumber, or whatever this is called, wood, to other players. And I have random pop-ups. Yeah, to other players, and so I made good use of it. I sent a lot of things over to her. I don't think she ever sent anything back. And what's the point of this view lock? Oh, cool, you can see progress. I don't know, it's like it just locks your view on your town center. It seems like it should be locked wherever my camera was or something. But yeah, so I think this is about the point where she started to surpass me in resource collection somehow. 16, 29, 16, yeah, she was way ahead of me in food, although I guess, oh, that explains it, because I sent all my resources to her. No, I was wondering, like, seems like I should be way better than her, so why, or, because she hasn't really done this at all, so it seems like I should be way better than her. How is she so far ahead of me? I guess those 500 food helped, because otherwise, before that we would have been 500 and, well, I guess she would have been still slightly ahead of me, but it would put her 1,500 ahead of me instead of 500 ahead. And she just played this whole game just trying to tech up. So, oh, I wonder if you can skip. Yeah. By now, since she had
请下命令
the resources necessary, I thought you could view. That's annoying. I thought you could view how much it cost. Oh well. But yeah, I think you need, what was it, like 1,200 food and 1,000 coin to get to the next stage. So since she had the food, she's now just trying to get the coin. And I was pursuing a similar-ish strategy. I was mostly just trying to get to the 3rd age, and then I was going to go do something.
Yeah?
So let's check up on what the enemies were doing. If you see, if you turn on Fog of War, I couldn't actually see this area at this time.
Hello?
Alright, I built this ship at the dock a while ago, and moved it over to see if we could scout out the area. But yeah, I couldn't actually see this area at the time, so I had no idea what was going on with them. So this will be new to me. Yeah, I retreated my ship, sent it back to the dock after it took a little bit of damage from this outpost. Outposts have surprisingly high anti-ship attack. Outposts and, oh, something about themselves. Outposts? That's an interesting thing to send, given that they're not really all that useful. Oh, Akbar was by far the more dangerous of the two. So, although that's not much of a stretch. Apparently he's going up to the next stage, while I think she was almost to the... Yeah, yeah, she's building up to the third age. Akbar's just now getting into the second age. And what age is Suleiman? Oh, Suleiman already got to the second age. I think he just got there, actually. Oh yeah, I noticed that there was a treasure, oh yeah, it is a treasure, right around here, and so I sent my explorer
Klaar. Klaar.
the garden planet, and I think that was around the time I explained about treasures to her. Oh, did she already claim her treasure? Apparently. That's interesting. Thought it was long after this. And yeah, so she got to the Fortress Age, built the Confucian Academy, again, as I suggested. And now Akbar got to the Colonial Age. Finally. That was the only pop-up I noticed. I don't know why. Like, when Suleiman got to the Colonial Age, I didn't see a pop-up. And when Akbar eventually got to the Fortress Age, I don't know why there wasn't a pop-up. And, yep, I kept gifting her resources. I think, oh, I'd already sent my shipment. And, oh, I was trying to train sheep, which I don't normally use because, I don't know, I just generally don't like hunting. Also, I did not notice that these sheep were merged. It's a two-headed sheep! Ah! Shut down the nuclear power plant, it's a two-headed sheep!
What flares up fast, extinguishes soon.
What's this? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I think I just got to the Fortress Age. I didn't notice that during the game. And yeah, she was already in the Fortress Age and already close-ish to the fourth age. Began with the fall of Sauron, marked by the reign of Aragorn on the fourth age. Industrial Age, I think. Yeah, so she was almost to the Industrial Age, which takes 1,200 coin and 2,000 food. And I'm still pretty far behind her. Oh yeah, and by this time, I had gone onto the island, and now I was hunting.
Commando?
Hunting random treasures. I think I was waiting.
Yeah?
Pretty soon I'm going to take on those rhinos, which are pretty strong. I was just getting some random treasures. How much did I see? Not much. I think now, yeah, I was going to get the trading post, which I never ended up using. I got all 3 trading posts, and I never used a single one of them. Almost got to the fourth age.
请下命令。
准备好了。
什么？准备
请
好了。
下命令。
Maybe that's why she slowed down. Thought this was a little early for her to get to the next stage because she had a bunch of idle villagers and she didn't know about the idle
是的
villager
是的。
准备好了。
button. And I did not realize she had a villager in her catamaran. That's interesting. Not sure why. Oh yeah, and if I didn't take out the rhinos yet, I discovered a Mughal architecture. Yeah, you got the picture. I thought it was really good at the time, and then I realized buildings aren't that important in building time. Especially 5%. It's like almost nothing. Oh, what am I shooting? Probably shouldn't use the arrow keys so much. got enough for the Summer Palace, which I also suggested. Surprise, surprise. The Summer Palace is probably my second favorite. I like the Confucian Academy because I really like the Flying Crows. Oh, but I guess she wasn't training any because she didn't have enough population. So, and I think, oh, I can't see it right now, but yeah, I think the Porcelain Tower at this point was still just set on the trickle of all resources, not specifically on one thing, so that was...
Ik ben gewond. Ik kan me niet bewegen.
One time in the game, my explorer died. Almost all the time. And he was right next to a cache of 450 food, which would have been enough to... I forget what it was. Oh, I think it was for me to start teching up to the industrial age. Yeah. Because I had the coin, I just needed the food. Which I was getting from my sheep, which is fully fat.
Hello?
Oh yeah, and I got a random float wagon, which did not turn out to be very useful. Yep, she somehow
Ik
got
voel me
ahead.
nu wat sterker.
About sterk. I can't speak Dutch. Really can't speak. And I didn't know. Quite a while, I didn't notice that I already had the resources to get to the 4th age. Yeah. Oh, and now I started teching up. Aging up.
Commando?
And I think this is when I realized that my Explorer now, for some reason, has 2 powers. 2,
Ja?
active use abilities that one-shot
Klaar.
enemies. So, I realized, hey, there are 4 rhinos here, so I can take them out in 2 bursts.
Ja?
Or, I realize it in a second. Maybe I was really waiting for the factory because factories are amazing. Probably slightly OP.
Klaar.
They're really awesome. Oh yeah, and then at this point, whoa. No, not quite. Yeah, I was just building settlers. Because I now wanted 3 types of resources now that I was in the industrial age, instead of just food and coin, which are the ones you need to age up. So now I wanted 3 of each, 9 settlers, so that it was divisible by 3, so I could have 3 settlers on each resource. And pretty soon, it's gonna happen.
Ja?
Yeah, I think I was ferrying some
Ja?
extra troops over. Ah, the fort wagon. And I wanted the factory, or I was getting the first factory. I wanted the robber barons thing, so I could get the second factory. It was approximately this point where I started planning for the revolution, which you can do in the industrial age, and I showed it in my... Is it the Russia video? Sounds about right. No, not the Russia video. It was the other one with the 8, whatever it was.
Commando?
With the 8-player free-for-all. I can't remember what I was. Oh,
Klaar.
I'm gifting more resources because at this point I had my factory. And I wanted to improve it, but I couldn't for quite a while. And I had the other factory.
Ja?
Now,
Juist.
I was planning,
Oké.
because 320 XP is quite a bit. Although apparently you don't seem to get any XP on your home city from multiplayer for some reason. I'm not sure why. So now I had 2 factories, and now I was, yeah, and then I got the upgrades, and then I just, like, the resource hatches. And I ended up with, like, thousands of each. I think it was also around this point that I started building settlers. I wanted to get up to the limit, 50, so they could all transform into colonial militia. I have since realized that you don't actually need to do that, because, well, except as the Netherlands, because the colonial militia can be trained for exactly the same cost as a settler, so there's no real point in building the settlers, because it just, I don't know, there's no point in waiting for the revolution until you
Juist.
have expertise,
Okay.
except as the Netherlands and I believe Russia, because as the Netherlands, you have your
Send my
settlers.
compliments to your explorer for his collection of unusual vermin and weeds.
I like. Wait, what was I saying? Yeah, except as the Netherlands, because as the Netherlands, your villagers cost coin instead of food, so they don't cost the same as the colonial militia. But, I mean, it's just different. It's not necessarily better, so you still probably shouldn't wait. Because at this point, since I was getting all my resources from factories anyways, basically, didn't really matter what resource it was. They're pretty much all equal. And it was at this point that she sent her troops over to the island, because I told her to. She said she was getting bored because she didn't really have anything to do now that she had gotten, or is getting to, or is very close to getting to the 5th age, the Imperial Age, so. Yeah, and then she realized, or then I told her that you can't actually collect treasures without an explorer, so. That's why she went back, and why is this thing flickering? What? Okay. Strange. Let's see if we can see my hand. Nope, doesn't look like it. Odd. Seems strange that, like, in this replay you can only go forward, you can't go back or... Oh, I guess that wasn't noticeable. But you can't go back or, like, skip ahead. You just have forward and fast forward. So this whole thing has been on fast mode, so that's why this game took, like, an hour, I think. So I think at fast mode it'll be double speed or about half an hour, I think. Yeah, so now she had taken her first treasure off of her own island. I just built this, and then right around there, it goes up to take this turn. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, at this point I had the factories, so I just had a massive amount of resources that I didn't. That I had something that increased building height point. Yeah, I was still training settlers, I think was what that thing was. That pop-up was, yeah. Because I wanted to get all 50 of them so I could do the revolution, which I later realized wasn't really useful. Yes. And then by this point, I was taking this, she was trying to take this treasure. So I just thought, like, just to be funny, I would try to steal it with my explorer after she killed all the guardians. Unfortunately, I didn't quite get there in time. I'm sure she would have appreciated it if I had. And then she goes for this one. This time I'm better prepared. I know that she's about to kill the guardians. And and so I'm able to get in.
I hope your race for treasures is for the good of your society and not for yourself.
She said that it was for herself, so. Too bad, Akbar. You don't listen to your kind around here. I'm not sure exactly what your kind is, but something. And then, to try to avoid hurting her feelings, I left this treasure for her. And she ignored it.
Yeah.
Don't think she really noticed. He's not exactly innocent, so I don't think I actually annoyed her. Oh yeah, and then I still had a ton of resources, so I sent a bunch to her because she was almost to the next age. And I think I also sent, yeah, I gifted her thousands, maybe even 10,000 resources over this. Probably not 10,000, but I gifted her at least, I mean, that was 5,000 right there, and I think I gifted her a couple thousand for the rest of the game. So, like at least 7,000 or something. And she never gave anything. Yeah, and now she's taking up to, or aging up to the Imperial Age. Discovered water treasures. Also, apparently you can take water treasures. Oh. I don't know, she was having trouble with collecting this treasure. I don't know why. Like apparently you can.
Hold up.
Yeah, because it has the treasure chest thing, so I don't know why it doesn't. Why she was having so much trouble with collecting that thing. I don't think she ever did collect it. More money. Okay. Oh. That's weird. With the naval units, apparently you can like you can order them to move places, although they won't. But then with the land units, you can just select them. Wonder why. It seems like a glitch. Wonder. Oh. Huh. Yeah, it's weird. And so she reached the Imperial Age before me, but I wasn't going for the Imperial Age. Instead, I was going for the Revolution. If you get to the Imperial Age, you can't actually do the Revolution. You have to do it in the Industrial Age. And right now, I was basically just waiting around for resources, collecting a couple more treasures, building a trading post here. At some point, I just had so many resources that I just ended up like building a wall. Oh, okay, so it was a pop-up. Maybe I didn't notice that. Still building settlers because I wasn't quite at my limit. I think I had like 32 or so around now. Okay, yeah, I gifted her over 10,000 resources, because 3,000 there was 5,000. I know I saw 1,300. That's like 9,300 right there, and I know I gave her at least 700 throughout the rest of the game. So I gave her over 10,000 resources. Better have appreciated them. Probably, yeah, she's just like sitting on them and not really doing anything with them. At some point, I think she realized, or I think at some point I told her to build a war academy, which is like almost now. Just right after this. Oh yeah, I told her to build this consulate because she had a bunch of export piled up. But I never actually told her how to use it, so I don't think she ever did anything with it. Whoops. I might have made it more. Yeah, and then I think she builds a war academy right after that, so she can start producing units. And I built a giant wall around my city, or home island, with all of the settlers that I had, who kind of just clump around here stupidly doing nothing. The majority of them are. Just sit there until I tell them to start working again. Well, I guess they're not sitting there, they're moving around. That guy... Wait, oh man. That guy was like dancing or having a seizure. One of the two. And then for some reason, these people couldn't move down there. I guess it was like too close to the water or something. I'm not sure why they couldn't, so they couldn't actually build that wall. See, I like moved them away and then tried to move them back in. Fortunately, this settler was able to get in from the corner. Oh, yeah, that's Laura, sister, so...
Commando?
She was trying to build a standard
Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah.
population.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And I tried to send
Commando?
this guy after here with the special broadside ability.
Juist.
I think she was building immigrants by now, which gives you an extra 2,000 or 200 population up to your maximum, which is I think 220. But sorry, and it costs 2,000 gold. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I got Bastion, which is a nice improvement that makes your walls look better and also gives them quite a few more hit points, like almost 3 times. It's like 150% more hit points.
请下命令。
Oh yeah, I had brought my fort wagon over to the island and it had started building. Claimed a misplaced basket of mangoes. Well, yep, more wood that I gave to her. And now she got the immigrants, so she... Oh, maybe it's only 100, I guess. Thought it was 200. Yeah, I guess so. Strange. But anyways, yeah, I gave her a lot more population so she could build a larger army. And by now I was loading up my villagers onto this boat so I could take them onto the main island so I could attack them who were on another island. I could have just like cut out the middleman, but for some reason I didn't. So I wonder, when you do the revolution, all of your settlers immediately become colonial militia. I wonder if they were garrisoned in a boat or a like town center or an outpost or whatever. I wonder if they would change. That might be an exploit if they don't, because you're not supposed to have settlers. You're not supposed to be able to build or expand or redo anything. Rebuild anything. And apparently she was trying to build upgrades, which I did not realize. That was good. I just told her to build the armies. I think I started building, not yet, but I built like a 3-foot long wall that didn't protect anything and then quit. Because my settlers became colonial militia. I think I'm almost... Yeah, I'm almost to the point where I think I'm about to build the wall. Yep, right there. Already a bastion. Sebastian. Why didn't they build those corner those things? Oh, so I just came back to do them later for some reason. And I had so many reasons. Oh yeah. At this point, I think a little earlier I was flaring over there a bunch just to annoy her. And then we discovered, or at least she discovered the chat things, and she was chatting back to me, but she was like typing in things. I think it's enter, and she was just chatting things, and I was using these buttons like send food and focus on economy. nameless attack here for no reason. Just basically do it later. Show her the cool mood, the cool things you can do in this game. By this point? Ah, yes, I moved all my settlers onto the thing, and there were a lot of them, as it turns out. There were 45 of them in that group. And another 5 up here, and then I switched everything, all my factories, over to corn production, and saved up for the revolution, and the end game was set in motion. So close. I have the gold. And now I revolt. So I have to build it, and suddenly I have an army.
I see your soldiers. Do not think they are
And
hiding.
suddenly I have an army, so the Ottoman guy mentioned them. And cool music for them. Just sit back and listen. She had her army, moved her army over here, getting ready for the end game, as you can probably see. Like the revolution music.
Yeah?
He's moving a secondary army over here. Ready?
Hey,
A bunch of these guys who I got from revolting.
hey.
Got 20 of them. Just
Ha.
revolting.
Hey, tape, say guatavo.
Oh, okay. So you can, like, you can move them or pretend to move them when you're, when the view player is on the player whose units they are. Otherwise, you can't. It's not a naval unit versus land unit thing. Okay. I don't think she ever used this. And at this point, oh yeah, I was sending this guy up here. However, oh wow, oh no, sorry. However, halfway through, or not even halfway, more than halfway through, I decided ironclads are way cooler than whatever this thing is.
Hello?
Fly it to however you want. Seriously, how are you supposed to pronounce this?
Yeah?
That's why I'm glad I'm not Dutch, because I could never speak it. So, yeah, I took this thing and then realized that this thing was way too damaged to actually like, fight against outposts, and I used it as an excuse to wait for the ironclads. Which, apparently, you can only have 2 ironclads at a time for some reason. But they look awesome. My sister said that they looked like the Fire Nation warships, which I will have to... I guess I'll have to agree with her since I don't know what they look like, but it's kind of ironic since I was supposed to be the Earth Nation thing. She was the Fire Nation. And wow, those steamboats actually seem, or ironclads seem really fast in this.
Commando?
On play fast. Wow, so many things to render. I'm getting like 3 frames a second over here. Maybe I should turn it off play fast.
Ja?
Yeah. The attack began.
Oké.
The attack
Ik ga.
soon.
Klaar.
been building up much of an army. Even if they had had like a maxed out population, I doubt they would have done anything. 50 militia plus these step riders. These I think she built standard armies and the whatever the cavalry thing army is. The one that has step riders and iron flails. Yeah, he's surrounded pretty fast after we landed. Let's keep history out of this. Yeah, and he resigned at this point. So I fairly soon retreat my soldiers. Oh yeah, I think he had like asked us to resign, and then we were looking at the resignation thing for a while. So
Commando?
retreated pretty quickly. I did. At least she took a while. But I waited for her. Not really sure why. Because I probably could have beaten them by myself. Oh yeah, because if you turn on Fog of War, I couldn't actually see Akbar, so I figured like, oh well, this island matches up to this island, and this island should match up to an island over here, so he's probably over here. He's not over here. And then I had to explore all the way around here to find him. My sister was still trying to regroup her armies.
Commando?
But she did manage to catch up at some point, I think.
Klaar.
I was just steaming off. Who needs her? Who needs family?
Commando?
I was attacking some random fishing boats because I couldn't find him. And then, out of the blue, land ho! Let's attack him now. Hey, we found something new and interesting. Let's kill it. Turned out my first army was so big that I couldn't actually unload myself. This tower of victory is interesting. I don't play as the Indians. I play as China quite often because my best friend is Chinese. So I first played it with him, and I just already knew how to play it. But India, quite so often. Also played Japan sometimes because I like the Japanese campaign. But I think I've only played India once or twice. Again, I mean, I think he was slightly stronger. He had a couple more troops, but still decimation. He stood no chance against us.
Ja, klaar.
Out against the Yankee force. With the Agra Fort was like the last thing we had to possibly do damage to us. About 7 Wait, why are they called? Oh, maybe the Asian ones are called villagers and the European ones are called settlers. And yeah, at this point he resigned, and we accepted his resignation, and that was it. So, yeah, pretty total destruction. Still had the armies to, like, beat them 5 times over without having to heal, step back, or get any new units or anything. So, yeah, I think that'll end this episode here. So, oh yeah, I use post-game. I got a bunch of different, experience awards. The only 2 awards that I didn't get were the ones that are bad. Most units lost and least resources. So, yeah, so I think that'll end this video here. So, thank you all for watching. Oh, I do want to mention that this, don't look for this to be, for multiplayer to become like a regular series or anything, because I was barely able to get her to do it this time, so I probably won't be able to get her to do it very often in the future. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and see you next video. Bye!